Have you ever stopped to think that your body isn't the pinnacle of evolution, but more like a horribly botched upgrade for a cubicle drone? While a leopard can track a blade of grass moving 100 meters away, you struggle to find a phone charger in your own bag. Evolution spent millions of years prepping you for marathons across the savannah, but all you got was a food delivery subscription and chronic stress from group chat notifications. Out in the wild, your survival rate drops to zero faster than your phone battery in the freezing cold. Picture this. You are left completely alone in the woods, armed with nothing but a stick and absolutely zero clue which berry will be the last dessert you ever eat. A predator isn't going to sit around while you Google a tutorial on how to start a fire. It doesn't have time for your existential crises. It will simply turn you into a midday snack while you try to remember how to trigger the emergency SOS on your screen. Your skeleton, perfectly engineered for walking upright, turned out to be completely vulnerable to a sedentary lifestyle, and your immune system, coddled by the sterile conditions of your apartment, will immediately surrender to the very first forest infection. We traded our razor-sharp fangs and powerful muscles for the ability to type at the speed of light. But in a life-or-death situation, the only thing that skill is good for is drafting a quick farewell post. The same adrenaline that used to save your ancestors from saber-toothed tigers now just makes your heart pound when you get an angry email from your boss. This is pure biological surrender. We have become hostages to our own comfort, trapped in a world where antibiotics replace natural resilience, and supermarkets have replaced our hunting grounds. Your body is an incredibly complex machine that has completely forgotten how to function without regular maintenance from modern society. Try surviving just 24 hours without running water or electricity, and you will quickly realize that your ultimate superpower is just complaining about a weak Wi-Fi signal. Today, being the king of the jungle just means surviving the boredom of waiting for your delivery driver. But if civilization crashes tomorrow, you will find out the hard way that you are not at the top of the food chain. You're just a soft, medium-rare steak that didn't even realize the hunt had already begun. Are you really ready to test your autonomy when the only available app is the self-preservation instinct you have let atrophy over years of cozy stagnation? Now look at your fluffy pet. It is not just a purr generator, it is a high-tech bio-robot designed for one single purpose: the instant elimination of its target. Evolution spent millions of years grinding this killing machine down to absolute perfection. Just look at their pupils. When dusk falls, they dilate, turning their eyes into massive light-gathering lenses that can spot movement where you only see pitch-black nothingness. And take a look at those whiskers. These aren't just hairs. They are hypersensitive radar arrays picking up the slightest shift in air pressure. Your cat is literally feeling its environment from a distance, even if it is completely blind in the dark. Their skeleton is an absolute miracle of engineering. The collarbones aren't even attached to the rest of the skeleton, allowing the entire body to squeeze through any gap that can fit its head. This essentially turns a cat into a liquid, capable of shape-shifting in a fraction of a second. 95. The soft pads on their paws act like silent shock absorbers, letting them stalk their prey with the terrifying grace of an assassin. But the real trump card is hidden inside their claws. They aren't just sharp. They are retractable meat hooks that tuck into special sheaths so they never lose their edge while walking on the ground. When it's time to strike, those muscles deploy the blades forward with blinding speed. And what about their reaction time? And felines travel faster than in almost any other mammal. In the time it took you to blink, your pet has already spotted a fly, calculated its exact flight path, and locked in the perfect trajectory for a jump. This is the ultimate biological egoist, built on a survival strategy of extreme energy conservation. It sleeps 16 hours a day just to stockpile battery life for one short, incredibly violent burst of action. Out in the wild, a predator like this sits comfortably at the top of the food chain, leaving its prey absolutely zero chance of escape. And here is the question that keeps biologists up at night. Why did this lethal instrument of evolution decide to trade the savannah for your living room couch? Maybe it is the highest form of intelligence, tricking an entirely different species into feeding you, scratching you behind the ears, and cleaning up your waste, all while maintaining the innocent look of a cute little furball. After all, the greatest predator is the one that convinced its prey that they are best friends. Now imagine you are cut off from the grid. Your first 6 hours of isolation are completely dominated by phantom notifications. Your brain, hooked on the cheap dopamine drips of social media likes, starts to panic without its constant feed of data. Neural pathways wired for endless scrolling are screaming for a fix. But instead of a news feed, all you see is a gray blur of pine branches. By the 12th hour, you hit the carbohydrate starvation phase. Your glucose levels plummet, and your internal compass, completely dependent on high-calorie fast food, decides to go on strike. Your liver desperately tries to switch over to emergency glycogen reserves, but your metabolism is so spoiled by stability that it fights the process every step of the way. You start to feel dizzy, and the world around you loses its sharpness, exactly like a video buffering down to the lowest possible resolution. Then, evening falls. The silence of the forest, which city dwellers mistakenly think of as healing and peaceful, turns into a deafening alarm siren. Stripped of the comforting white noise of traffic and air conditioners, your hearing sharpens to an agonizing degree. Every single branch snapping under the weight of some invisible animal is instantly flagged by your amygdala as a lethal threat. Starved of outside stimulation, your brain starts generating its own horror movies, projecting the shadows of trees into massive, fanged monsters. This is not just being scared. This is primal terror, an ancient instinct that was lying dormant deep inside your limbic system, just waiting for its moment to wake up. 24 hours removed from your natural habitat isn't some fun survivalist reality show. It is a brutal stress test of your biological competence. Stress hormones, especially cortisol, spike to their absolute limits. Your heart works overtime, desperately trying to compensate for your total lack of physical conditioning by hammering against your ribs. And that is when you realize your biggest problem isn't a lack of fire or food. It is your complete inability to control your own thoughts when forced to sit in silence. You have become a prisoner of your own mind, a mind that forgot how to be alone with itself. When the sun finally sets, the realization hits you. The real darkness isn't out there in the trees. It is inside your head, where your addiction to comfort has become your most dangerous trap. You still hope someone is coming to rescue you, but in that heavy silence, the only thing you hear is your own ragged breathing, serving as the sole proof that you haven't yet become a historical artifact. Look at the contrast here. Your furry little roommate is a flawless, self-sustaining terminator that couldn't care less if the power grid goes down. It comes equipped with built-in thermal imaging, an internal navigation system, and integrated weaponry that has been functioning without a charger for centuries. We, on the other hand, are creatures whose basic functionality critically depends on server farms, global logistics networks, and a lithium battery in our pockets. Our technological progress is just an incredibly elaborate crutch, holding up our weakening biology. We traded our evolutionary endurance for the privilege of scrolling through memes on the toilet. But what exactly happens when the global network suddenly becomes a thing of the past? Picture a morning where every gadget turns into a useless slab of silicon. You are standing in the middle of a kitchen with no power, no delivery apps, and no way to look up a tutorial. Your survival instincts were replaced by search queries a long time ago, and the ability to build a fire was discarded as an archaic glitch. That is the exact moment nature will deliver its final verdict. While you are frantically tapping a dead black screen and praying for a miracle, that same domestic predator who used to beg for treats will simply head out for a hunt. It won't even notice you are gone, because to a cat, you were always just background scenery. We are a species that built a golden cage of comfort around ourselves, completely forgetting that evolution holds the only key. The fragility of our civilization is staggering, because it only takes one major disruption to collapse the entire chain into absolute chaos. We got so obsessed with building artificial intelligence that we completely missed the moment we lost touch with our own. Do we even stand a chance of surviving in a world without our digital crutches? The answer is hiding deep in your pupils, which, unlike a cat's, are completely blind in the dark. 95. We are hostages of our own genius, animals who spent way too long believing in our own hype. But when the last screen fades to black, one thing will become terrifyingly clear. The top of the food chain isn't the one who knows how to write code. It is the one who knows how to survive when the code stops working. Welcome to a reality where your most important skill is figuring out how not to become lunch for things that have never used the internet. And trust me, nature doesn't offer retakes on this exam.